So I started playing Skyrim recently. Well, I actually got it at the end of last year. It's quite an old game, but I'd only heard good things about it, so I thought I'd get it and give it a go. And it's been remade like thousands of times. Maybe not thousands of times. That's a bit of a over exaggeration, but it's been remade a lot of times. Let's start with the technical side of the game, the technical aspects. I had no problems with the game whatsoever. If you're asking me, oh, what frame rate did it run on? I have no clue. I don't know. I don't know how to check those things. I don't play on PC. I know that you can check that kind of stuff on PC. I don't know how to check it on console. So I have no clue what frame rate it ran at. But let me tell you, mate, I thought that it would run at a much lower frame rate. I thought it would be a bit choppy, you know? But it was not bad. Obviously the graphics are not as good as modern games. Graphics wise, yeah, it's a bit outdated, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. As for the story, it's mediocre. I mean, look, Bethesda are not known for making good stories. I mean, look at Fallout 4. It's not the worst, but it's not the best either. The story took me around 28 to 30 hours to complete, I think. The DLCs I've finished. They don't take that long to finish. I won't talk about the story much for them. Um, Now let's talk about the character creation. Now I know that depending on the race that you pick for your character, they have different stats apparently. I only found that out way into the game because I picked I can't remember what I picked. It was some basic human guy. But I know that depending on your race, it changes your stats. Yeah, that would have been really nice to show because I use like quite big weapons, right? They require a lot of strength and stuff, and I know that some races give you more strength or whatever it's called in this game. Which would have been really helpful. I would have ended up doing a lot more damage. Well, maybe not a lot more, but like a little bit more damage with my weapon. But no, instead I'm stuck with some random guy that's better at like one-handing weapons, and it's like swords, stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't use that. I never used that because the damage is just not as good. I didn't upgrade that in my perk tree. So it would have been nice if I was a bit signposted. Now let's talk about the story. The story was alright. I mean, it's a lot better than Fallout 4, which is another Bethesda game. The story for that is not the best. It's fine. There's a whole detective bit, which is okay. But the story in Skyrim is a lot more interesting. You're the Dragonborn, and there's this big dragon called Alduin, and I think you're destined to kill him or something. And it's all about how you're like preparing to kill him, and like you have to make a truce between the Stormcloaks and the Imperials, which is alright. If you're playing for the story, yeah, it's not too bad. The main quest took about 28 to 30 hours to complete, and I felt like it could have had multiple endings. It's an RPG, but you're just funneled into one ending. You don't really get a choice. One part of the story is meant to be the Civil War, as I said, but it just felt like side content, and it was mostly just attacking forts. And you probably didn't need the help of the other soldiers. I reckon you could just do it all yourself. You could probably just settle the whole Civil War by yourself if you wanted to. Um, the Imperial quest, because I chose the Imperial side, they got screwed up by the main quest. There was one point where I had to deliver a letter to someone, but I couldn't for some reason. I had to finish the main quest to do that, which is a bit frustrating. But anyways, they are good and they're worth doing. It's just it's important to note that they're easy to miss in your playthrough, which is a bit annoying. They should have made it a bit like more to do with the quest. They should have made it more joined to the main quest. As for the world, it's generally pretty good. It's quite interesting. Um, there's a bunch of different things to do. Usually in open worlds, the quality of the side content can be questionable depending on how big the game is. Usually the bigger the game is, the worse the side content is, and the caves can be a little bit boring. It's kind of like the same enemies, the same loot, usually, even if it's part of a quest, that does make it a bit more interesting. So at least there's a bit of a story as to why the hell you're in there. But apart from that, yeah, some of the side content isn't that good. You cannot climb any mountain, like Todd Howard said. Do you remember when he announced Skyrim and he said, "Oh, you can climb any mountain"? Yeah, you can't climb any mountain. Um, there's lots to do, but rewards for exploring aren't always worth it. So you can lockpick chests and stuff like that and get rewards from it. But sometimes it's just like 10 gold and it's like and a potion. I'm like, what was the point of that? I just wasted a couple, depending on how hard the lock was, depending on how difficult it was to pick the lock. I just wasted quite a few lock picks just to get some trash rewards. Like, it's just not worth it. Um, the NPCs, they generally, the ones that go around the cities and stuff, they generally just say basic dialogue lines. You can't have a full conversation with them, but you can pickpocket. You can pickpocket every NPC, which adds a few options if you think they have something good, and you can get away with stealing it. However, it would be good if there was a bit more of a, let's just say, developed reputation system. So you steal from someone, your reputation in that city or with a faction goes down. That would have been really good, and maybe they send bounty hunters after you. That would have been quite good, but no, it doesn't have that. I did like how you can interact and pick up any item that you see in the world. Although it looks like it's just hovering in front of you, like floating in the air. I did like how you were able to interact with items, and it adds a lot of interactivity to the world. And you're free to go wherever you want after the tutorial. There's no barriers to areas really. Like, if you want to compare it to Elden Ring, there's barriers in that because you start off in Limgrave, and let's just say you want to go to Liurnia of the Lakes. There is I think I've heard there's a way to get to it without fighting the first boss, but generally it's blocked off by the first boss. So that means that it kind of limits where you could explore in that game, which is a bit annoying, but in this you can go wherever you want. You don't have to defeat bosses just to get to places. As for the combat, it's not terrible. It actually ends up being quite good despite it being a little bit simplistic. It's basically just like you press R2, you do a heavy attack, you hold R2, you do a kind of charged heavy attack. Um, it's okay. It's like, and you can use magic as well. But compared to something like Elden Ring or the Dark Souls games, the combat in those it's a bit harder. It's a bit more difficult. The enemies that you face are, yeah, they're a bit more complex and a bit more difficult to manage. But it is better compared to Skyrim, where usually you're just standing in the same spot, the enemy stands still as well, you both attack, until one of you falls over and dies. So like, it's a bit basic. I think you might be able to see in the footage a bit what I mean. There is some blocking you can guard. I generally didn't really use it because I found that sometimes you'd still get damaged anyway. Like, what's the point in putting a blocking system in if you're still gonna get damaged? Maybe I needed to use a one-handed weapon with a shield. Maybe that would have made the blocking a bit better. But yeah, it's not the best. It's okay though. It's serviceable. It's serviceable. Um, you can also use magic as well as like two-handed weapons. There's actually quite a good system where you can favorite like weapons or magic spells, and then there's a menu that you can open and cycle between these. That's pretty good. I liked that for a game that's this old. It's good that they thought of that. However, I didn't like how it kind of interrupts the combat, and often combat is interrupted by things like drinking health potions. You have to like pause. It basically pauses the game. So you're like fighting someone, and then suddenly, oh, I gotta heal. Pause the game. Stop the game. Oh, I gotta heal. Hang on. Just wait a second. Just wait. Stop attacking me. Just wait a second. I've got to drink a health potion. Like it doesn't. It's not. It doesn't feel realistic. I know it's a game. In something like Elden Ring, you gotta find a good spot to heal. You can't just heal in front of the enemy because they'll attack you still. But this is just like, oh wait, give me a sec. Just let me finish this health potion, um, and then we can get back to fighting. All right. One thing I did think was a good addition is that a dragon can just appear out of nowhere and just start attacking you. Like even if you're in a city or just like roaming around exploring, a dragon can just appear out of nowhere and just start breathing fire on you. And they drop pretty good rewards as well, like gold. Don't know how a dragon's got gold, but they drop gold as well. They drop dragon souls, I think it is. Well, they don't drop it, but you absorb it. And you can use that to get different shouts. Um, and like dragon bones that I think you can sell. I never really found where was a good place to sell them, but they do drop them anyway. Yeah, I thought that was a good. It made the world feel alive instead of just empty. Like, they kept you on your toes a bit as well. So overall, what did I think of the game? I think the game is pretty good, and if you're looking to buy it, I think it's definitely worth it. And it still holds up in 2024. Technically, it's pretty good. There's just a couple of glitches here and there that are a bit annoying, that kind of screwed up quests and stuff like that, although that's not too common. Um, the story, it was mediocre, it was fine. Um, it was actually not the worst. I'm sure it's better than Starfield Story because that didn't really get great reviews, but I haven't played that game, so I'm not sure if the story was one of the problems there. The world is pretty good, although some of the side content can be a bit repetitive. I like how you're able to go wherever you want, and the combat is serviceable. It's not the best. It could have been a bit more in depth. Think of like an Elden Ring, how there's multiple different weapons and stuff that you can use, and this is just like light attack, heavy attack, and block, and that's about it. There's no like special abilities for weapons and stuff like that. So marks out of 10, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, and I definitely think the game is worth playing. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please like and subscribe. If you want me to do more reviews, please say so in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.